Hello and welcome to the second State Library Victoria Our Online Collections webinar. Today we're going to be looking at accessing and using ebooks. My name is Marcus. I'm the Digital Access and Family History Librarian at the State Library, and I'm joined today by two of my fellow librarians. If you'd like to introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Andrew McConville, and I also work as a librarian in the Digital Access and Family History team.
And I'm Sarah Banty from the Digital Access and Family History team.
Welcome to you both. And just a reminder, if you happen to have seen the previous Our Online Collections webinar, you may be aware that there is an abundance of electronic material, online content that's available through the State Library, completely free to anybody who'd like to access it. But if you'd like to have access to all of our online content, you do need to become a member and you need to be a Victorian resident. So if you'd like to get access to all the content, just go to the State Library Victoria homepage and click on the Become a Member link, which appears up in the top right-hand corner of the screen. Follow the prompts to enter your details and your valid Victorian address, and we'll send your membership details out to you either by SMS or email. And within a few minutes, you'll have access to all of our online content. Okay, so without further ado, I will hand over to Andrew, who will tell us how to go about finding ebooks in the catalogue.
Okay, thanks very much, Marcus. So there's a couple of ways that you can go about finding ebooks. The first one we'll look at is really just a browsing option. So under this Search and Discover tab, you can go down to Curated eBookshelf. And what we mean by that is that we've actually selected a range of items that each month have come into the library as ebooks and that we think might be of general interest. So they're the sort of books that you might read recreationally or that you might just have a general interest in. And you can just scroll down those books, and if there's something that takes your eye, you can just click the downward arrow and that will give you more information about that book. So you might then decide that you want to view the ebook and have a bit of a read of it. We also keep an archive of our ebook shelf, so you can look at the previous books that we've recommended. Just up here under ebook shelf archive, previous ebook shelves, and we've gathered those generally under broad subject headings. So you'll see here there's a list of books that we've previously chosen under biography and memoir, and as you scroll down you'll see different breakdowns of different types of topics, different types of subjects. So that's really if you just want to browse for a book that might take your interest, but often what you will be doing is searching for books on particular topics. And you can see there that I'm interested in the Roman Republic. And I'm just putting a couple of keywords in there, and then I'm going to narrow my search to just ebooks. So what the catalogue will do when I do that search is it'll search for those two keywords anywhere in the catalogue record of any of our ebooks. And it'll bring me back a number of results, which I can then have a look at. So here we've got 26 items. The first one there, Rome's Revolution, Death of the Republic and Birth of the Empire, looks like one I might be interested in. So I can just click Available Online, and that'll take me to that part of the catalogue record that allows me to download the book. But I'd also suggest that you scroll down and just have a look at the details of the book. So in this case, I can see the contents, I can see the subject headings. So that gives me a better idea as to whether that's the sort of book that I want to have a look at. And if it is, we just go back up to these two links, View eBook or Instructions for Using this eBook. And what we'd recommend is that if you haven't used one of our ebooks before, that you do click on the Instructions for Using this eBook. And that will take you to one of our research guides. We have about 70 research guides on all different topics. And this one is specifically for using our ebook collection. We get our ebooks from two different suppliers, ProQuest and EBSCO host ebooks, and they have similar functions, but they work slightly differently. And we've got very clear details here about how you'd go about reading online or downloading the full ebook. And to tell us a little bit more about that, I'm going to hand over to Sarah.
Thanks, Andrew. So here I am on our ebook shelf looking for something to read. So I'll click on the title and then view the ebook. Now, at home, this is the point at which you'll need to put in your library barcode and sign in. So now we're looking at the details page in the ProQuest database. At a glance, you can see the book details. You can also see a table of contents if you want to jump straight into a chapter. But first, I'll draw your attention to this availability statement where it says we have unlimited access to this book. So wherever possible, we try to buy licenses that allow multiple people to read at the same time. This is great if you're in a book club, for example, and you all want to read together, or perhaps you want to share a story with family. Just check this statement because not all of our books will let multiple users access it. You might see a statement that says available in 10 hours. You could check back then. Now below the availability statement, we have read online, download book. A quick distinction at this point. You can read online in your browser for as long as you like, as long as you have an internet connection. You can also alternatively download the full ebook. That's a bit like borrowing a book for a library. It's for a limited number of days and you'll need to return it. And then you can download a PDF chapter, which is a bit like photocopying. You can save a PDF to print or share and keep it forever. You can't do this for the whole book because of copyright. So on the right-hand side, you can see the limits that we've got that have been set by the publisher for how many pages you can copy the text of and how many pages you can save as a PDF. Okay, so now that I've clarified that, we recommend starting with Read Online because it's easy, unlimited, and there are some great features in the online reader, which I'll demonstrate. So let's click Read Online. Okay, so it's just loading and you can see it looks just like a print book. If I scroll down, we can see those pages. And on the left-hand side, I can also use the table of contents to jump ahead. I can search within the book for words, which is great if you're researching or you're trying to track down a specific quote. On the left, if I click this star icon, I can also see any annotations I've made in this book. So you can see here, I've added a virtual bookmark, a comment, and a highlight. So I've obviously read this book before and made a note about Snowball the Cockatoo's favourite song. I can now click to revisit that page directly. You can see on the screen there, I've got my annotations. So to make these annotations, I use these features in the menu bar up top above the page. I won't go through all these icons because you can explore them yourself or visit our ebook guide for a detailed overview. But some of the most useful ones that I'll point out are chapter download. So remember that's within the publisher limits. I can share a link to enable other state library members to read this book. And those are my annotation tools there. I've also got some options to change the view on the page. So now let's look at this first icon on the left, the full download option. So remember I said this is like borrowing a book. You get access for a limited number of days, but you can also read it offline. Now you do need some free basic software to read the ebook file, but you'll be prompted as you download the book. So I'll click on that and demonstrate this. So first of all, it's a text the device that you're using. So you need to have a compatible device. Sorry, no Kindles, but ebook readers and tablets, even smartphones should be okay. So it will detect the device and give you the according instructions. I'm on a Mac, so I'll need to download Adobe Digital Editions. The first time I see this message, I click through the link to download the program and then get a free Adobe ID. Once I've done that, I can click Done with this step to continue. You may also get some options before you borrow the book. You might get to choose how long you want to download it for. Sometimes it's fixed at 24 hours, otherwise you can choose up to 7 days. And you can choose your format. EPUB's good for smaller screens, whereas PDF will preserve the original page layout. And then I would click download. Now the next step will depend on the device or the browser that you're using, but it basically downloads a small .acsm file. And once you click on that file or open that file, it will automatically open in the program to read it. So that's the ProQuest ebook. You'll also encounter some EBSCO ebooks in our catalogue. And that's basically the same. The screen will look a bit different, but the features and the layout are very similar. Okay, so now I'll hand back to Marcus. Thanks.
Thank you, Sarah, and thank you, Andrew. So we've had a quick look now at how to go about finding ebooks through the catalogue and accessing and using those ebooks on the ProQuest platform. And Sarah's also talked about the EBSCO platform, which is another option that's available for accessing and using ebooks. There are some other alternatives though, and you may wish to go directly to either the ProQuest or the EBSCO platform to have a search on either of those. Now, the easiest way to do that, if you simply start with a search from the homepage of the State Library Victoria and just type in the word ebooks and then run the search, that will take you into the catalogue, and it will obviously do a search for anything that has ebooks in the title. But you can see here that we've also set up some suggested resources based on your search of the word ebooks. So you can click here to go directly to the EBSCO ebook platform or directly to the ProQuest ebook central platform. And if you click here where it says see all 6 suggested resources, you can see that we've also recommended some additional options that you may like to encounter, such as the Directory of Open Access Books, Open Library, or Project Gutenberg, which are all open access platforms which include ebooks. And you'll also see that we've got a link up here to the research guide that Andrew spoke about. There is one further option that you may like to encounter. So when you're on the catalogue, if you click the A to Z databases link, and then from the subjects list, choose ebooks, you'll see here a similar set of options. So again, you can go to the EBSCO or ProQuest platforms. We've got links to the others that I've just mentioned, but we also have, as a trial basis only, access to the ebook academic collection, which is also from EBSCO. Now, this is a very large database of around 200,000 titles, but we don't have those titles available for you to find in the catalogue because we're only trialing this database for a short period of time. So if you'd like to have a look at the titles that are available on that platform, then just go to the A to Z databases list and choose ebooks from the subjects so that you can access that platform. Okay, well, that's all from us. So thank you very much for watching the ebook, Accessing eBooks webinar today. And I hope you find some valuable reading material through our catalogue. Thank you.